Dear students, I am Dr. J. Prashant Ram. I once again welcome you all for Solar PV Fundamental Technology and Application course of third module, and from the series it is going to be the 25th lecture. As we have discussed enough on the MPPT part and your tracking strategies, we are now in this class going to discuss something that is really interesting about power electronic interface. Let us see that how the power electronic interface is going to help us in getting better. Let me touch the basics. Though your boost converter and buck converter, you know better about your buck converter and boost converter in your previous power electronic circuit. I think it is utmost responsibility to touch up the basics of buck and boost converter based on your input voltage, output voltage, impedance matching, how your IV characteristics is going to track the maximum power based on boost converter and all those things. We will see in this lecture. It is just a value added addition. Maybe it is just what you can call an excess factor to the module, but it is also a very important factor, and it needs to be addressed properly. Why? Because without this your module will not get completed, or your learning will not completed with the maximum power point tracking. As you all know that MPPT tracking is a combination of three particular elements. One is your PV array, two is your DC-DC converter, and number three is your load. Load is nothing but standalone load or any kind of load. I myself presume it as standalone load or a resistance load. So now let us see with the help of boost converter. I mean boost converter, taking boost converter as a DC-DC converter or a power electronic interface, and we are connecting it to a simple R load with PV interfacing. Let us check that how it is going to apply or how it is going to get it operated in terms of PV application. First, let me go through a simple boost converter with a proper explanation so that it is better for you to understand. So now this is difference between a buck converter and boost converter. As you all know, this buck converter, I will come back to this buck converter later, but we will see only this boost converter. Boost converter is nothing but you have a supply V in, and you have an inductor. Yes, of course, inductor is getting replaced. It's just a vice versa. We have just shown a replacement, an inductor at the inductor in series to your VDC, and you have a switch connected in parallel to your inductor and a diode in parallel, and finally a capacitor. So this is what it is going to be, a boost converter. I repeat, you have an input supply, and an input supply seriously connected to your inductor, an inductor where your switch is connected in parallel and the diode is also connected parallel to your switch, and finally to take the output voltage as constant, to always maintain your output voltage constant, this capacitor C is connected. Why? Because this capacitor is always vital to maintain your output voltage. This capacitor is utmost needed at the output side, because this capacitor voltage plays a vital role in maintaining the load. So now in PV, instead of this V in, we are going to connect it to your PV. Instead of this V in, we are going to connect it to your PV, and this PV is going to have a vital role. Before that, let me explain the operation of a DC-DC boost converter. There is only three elements. It's very simple: inductor, switch, and a diode. And finally, to maintain the output voltage constant, you have a capacitor. So this is how it goes. Now, yes, you know that there is a voltage in your inductor. Inductor will always store some charges, and the inductor charges are nothing but L into di by dt. Yes, you know this. Inductor is always going to store the charges L into di by dt. So this charges is always going to be the driving factor to drive your load. So let us see these things in the upcoming. Yes, of course. Now, if the MOSFET gate driver sticks it on to the on position, then there is a short circuit through the MOSFET. Yes, that is what I was explaining. Let us say this MOSFET is on. Let me explain this MOSFET is on. If this MOSFET is on, what will happen is during the initial state condition, if the MOSFET is on, your VDC, the supply will pass through an inductor. The supply will pass through inductor and it will close through this particular during on state of your switch. During when you are supplying this, when your MOSFET is given firing pulse, the inductor will pass through it, then it will come through in this way. During your MOSFET on condition, there is a short circuit. This diode will get reverse bias. This particular diode will get a reverse bias and the current will flow only through this direction. Now what will happen is your inductor will tend to charge. Inductor will hold some charges in this direction. Current will be in this direction, in the IL direction as we have denoted, and inductor will tend to store some charges. So this is how during the on state it will happen. You have to remember that your diode is reverse biased. Your diode and your switching operation is vice versa. If diode is on, switch will be reverse biased. If diode switch is on, diode will be reverse biased. So this is how it goes actually. Now this is during on period of the MOSFET. This is during firing pulse. When you are giving duty cycle to the MOSFET, then the pulse, the current will be plus inductor and minus. So this is how it goes. This is the first point to be noted in the operation of DC-DC boost converter. And if the load is disconnected during operation, so that I out is equal to 0, then L continues to push to the right and very quickly charges C up to high as 250 volt to blow diode and MOSFET. Yes, now it is clear. Now during, as you know, that duty cycle is going to be this particular in this way. This total is what we call it as T. This particular period is what we call it as T. This is the on period. Sorry, this is going to be T. This total period is going to be T, and this period is going to be on period, duty cycle period. So I call it as D into T, and the rest of the period is going to be this off period is going to be 1 minus D into DD, because duty cycle is total 100%. So if this is going to be D into T, this is going to be 1 minus D into T. So this is how it goes. So this particular period is going to be 1 minus D into T. So duty cycle is always varying according to the time period. How much period is on, how much period is off. So according to the diagram what I have done, 50% on, 50% off. So during on period, when duty cycle is provided, MOSFET will be conducting. So during on period your MOSFET will conduct, and during off period what will happen? This MOSFET will open, and the charge is stored during in the on period of your inductor. So during the on period of this switch, the charges will now tend to forward bias your diode, and it will charge your capacitor so that it delivers to the load. I think I am making it clear. Please listen carefully. During your on period, during your on your inductor tend to charges. During your off period, what happen? Your inductor, this inductor will tend to hold. Already it has holded some charges during on period. Now this inductor will tend to drive in the off period. It will tend to now the conduction will be like this. Now the conduction will be like it. It will tend to go through your diode, and it will tend to charge your capacitor linearly up to, according to the capacitor and according to the design what you make. So now your capacitor will charge up to 250 volt. This is the very good operation of your boost converter. And before applying power, you have to always sure that your D is minimum. Always you have to check that your duty cycle is minimum, and it goes. You have to be always ensure that your load is connected. Why? Because if load is not connected, your sleeve C will blow off. Why? Because the reason is C tend to continuously charging. So then C will not have the path to discharge. So during on period, during on period, this will go like this. During off period, capacitor will charge, and the charges in your inductor will directly will make the current flow through your load. And once again, when during on position, your inductor will tend to short circuit this particular connection, and now the charges in your capacitor will tend to discharge through your load. So that's why they are always saying that your C should be always solidly connected to your load. Why? Because your C, in your on period, your C will drive the load. During your off period, your inductor and will drive your load via diode D. So during off period of the switch, or during 1 minus D into T period of your switch, what happens is like the total this thing will be, current will be during off period, inductor will directly pass through diode, it will drive. It will also charge. Two operations will happen. It will drive the load and also it will charge the capacitor. And during on period, what will happen? Your inductor will tend to run this particular MOSFET. It will charge. Inductor will now tend to charge, charging and discharging. And during this period, your capacitor will now run the discharge through your load, so that this one will happen. So now this is how the operation is of the boost converter is. Now let us see the boost converter circuit, how it goes. So it is just a simple limiting circuit. You have to always limit your output voltage to 120 volt, because it is not like that to make it PV operated. We have to always limit it to 120 volt, and we have to make it, because why? Because we have limited your capacitor to 240 volt. So then we have to design our boost converter according to it. I think the design process, all those things we'll see it in the upcoming slides or upcoming explanations. So this is what I was clearly explaining to you. So during your on period, what will happen is, actually this is very important equation. During your on period, this is reverse bias, this diode is reverse bias, so the connection will be like this. So the inductor will tend to, now it is like this. So the net voltage along across the inductor is going to be only by V in by L. The net voltage DIL by dt, the voltage across the inductor DIL by dt is going to be V in by L. This is going to be the this is during this particular duty cycle, the net voltage across this particular, this is the total time period T. This is going to be D into T, this period. This period is going to be 1 minus D into T. So during this period, this is duty. During the on period, what will happen is, the charge stored here. The charge stored here is going to be, the charge stored during on period is going to be V in by L, according to the volt second balance principle. What is the voltage that you will get is only V in by L that you will get. Similarly, this is what when switch is opened, then during negative duty cycle, what will happen? When the switch is closed, this particular switch, when it is closed, yes, you know that V in by L. Now the switch is opened. What will happen? Now when switch is open, what is the voltage that we are getting across the inductor? We are getting V in 1 voltage, and also we are getting some other voltage from this capacitor voltage is also there, right? This capacitor voltage is what I call it as V out. So there is two voltage that is appearing across the inductor. Voltage. What is the voltage that you will get? The voltage across the inductor you will get as V in minus V out. So this is the voltage that you will get. So the net voltage across the inductor is going to be V in minus V out. According to volt second balance principle, the voltage of the inductor, during on state is equal to off state. So during on state, what is the voltage we are getting? We are getting the simple, only one voltage is connected, so we are getting V in by L. Now during off state, what is the voltage we are getting? V in minus V out divided by L. Let us see according to the voltage. This is the volt second balance principle. Voltage across an inductor during on state is equal to voltage across the inductor during off state. So this is the volt second balance principle equation as we have got this. So when you substitute it and when you solve this equation, you will arrive an equation for output voltage. V out is equal to V in divided by 1 minus D. So when you see this, you can boost. How come you say it as you can boost up to 5 times? I have already told you in the previous lecture. I will tell you an why duty cycle. When I draw PV characteristics, I would have told you that why duty cycle is going to be why duty cycle cannot be varied beyond 1 and it cannot be varied below less. Now you just see this equation. When I substitute my duty cycle D value as 1 minus 1 is going to be 0, so your V out will become infinity. Now when I substitute my 1 minus duty cycle as 0.1, this will become, let me say my duty cycle as 0.9, 90%. When my duty cycle is 0.9, so 1 minus 0.9 is going to be 1 minus 0.1. So 0.1 V out is equal to Vn divided by 0.1. It is going to be many times it will go. So that is why it cannot be varied from 0.9 to the optimal range of duty cycle is going to be 0.9 to 0.1. Why? Because your duty cycle maximum value, because of the factor 1, duty cycle can only be varied between 1 to this thing. So this is how the logic it is. So this is what we get it. Yeah, this is during off time, on time, during on time, off time, average. This is the whole second balance principle I have told you. As I have told you, it is going to be varied from 0 to V. Now a duty cycle will always vary from 0 to 1. So this is the logic that we have. So please understand the concept, like how it is going to be in the PV. So now let us go into, so roughly it can able to boost up to 5 times. This is the conclusion from this equation. So this is what it is, a boost converter it is. So these are the just basic fundamental equation. As I have told you, the current, inductor current, it will rise and it will, during on period it will charge and discharge. Once again during on, charge and discharge, this is how it happens during inductor. When switch is on it will charge, and switch is off it will discharge. The takeaway from this particular inductor is, during the design of inductor, you have to take care that your inductor is always sufficient enough to supply to your capacitor as well as your load during its off time. So that is more important, so that you have to take care to the utmost. Of course, this it is going to be d into t during your on period. This is your total off period, 1 minus d into t. The ripple in the sense how much content it is. This is the ripple value, I max minus I minimum. This is going to be your ripple value, and I average is nothing but the middle value that you will get. This is going to, the value between maximum and minimum is going to be ripple, and that is del I, and the average is going to be this one. So this is what it is. This is what we have written it as, like this. When switch is closed, VL is equal to Vn. Vn by L. This is what we have written. Similarly, when switch is open, VL is equal to Vn minus V. This is all simple concept. This is how you have already studied in your power electronic circuits. So these are simple design procedures to design your inductor current. As you know this inductor current del I, how to design this? You have to take the RMS value. So when you take this RMS value, you will arrive this value. I have given the mathematical procedure here, but still we have just taken the total time period of 2 into we have just taken the root mean square of this value, so that you will get total in square, this particular value in square plus 1 by 12 times of 2 into del into I and the whole square. So this is how we have to take the root mean square value, and finally you will arrive to the value of this particular equation IL RMS. I request you to refer book Daniel Hart, so that we can get proper, I will also write in this, you will get proper explanation for this root mean square and all those things related to your boost converter. So these are the simple current ratings that we will put. This is during on period, this is during your off period of the switch. So the worst condition that you have to design is your 2 by 3 root 3 of your IN. So this is what we have discussed in the previous slide, root mean square value. So this is the fundamental value that you will get. Similarly, your capacitor current and current rating, it is also very simple, because your capacitor current is directly going to be your output current. So the capacitor current is always going to be your I out, that is going to be your maximum. IC is always equal to your I naught. So this is going to be your fundamental this thing. So this is your I naught value, it will be somewhere around negative. So you also know this particular equation, V is equal to Q by C, V is equal to Q by C, you know this equation. So I have just taken, since voltage and the charges are varying, I have taken del V and del Q. So according to this del Q, we have written this particular equation, I out into time t, this only this on period. So and we have taken this here, so we have just taken I out t, we have made as 1 by f, so we will get I out. So self-explanatory, but then I am explaining you for your own understanding. This is how your del V is decided, your voltage ripple is decided. So you can take capacitor value is equal to I out divided by capacitor. How to design your capacitor? Maximum output current divided by del V into F. This is how you have to choose your capacitor. Del V is nothing but the percentage, how much percentage you are providing, and the cushion value that what you take it with the load ripple voltage. So these are the voltage rating, simple. Um, these are all things that you would have known. You have to always decide your diode rating based on your MOSFET voltage. If MOSFET is 250 volt, your diode rating should be 500 volt. So your capacitor should be always greater than 1.5. For example, if your output is voltage is going, capacitor voltage is going to be, output voltage is 250 volt, your capacitor voltage should be 1.5 times of your output voltage, which means that 250 multiplied by 1.5 is going to be your capacitor rating. So these are all the simple things that you have to decide. Now, yes, these are methods for continuous current. So when your when this particular current starts from 0 and it ends at 0, this is continuous. When this particular current, inductor current, when it goes to 0, when it starts like this, which means now it has entered into discontinuous mode. It depends on what are the factors. It depends to when it goes to discontinuous mode. It depends on the ripple, voltage ripple, frequency, and your diode, this thing. So you have to maintain this boundary limits, the fundamental equations. Since we are going out of time, I wanted you to just brief in an overall manner. When the current level, inductor current, when it goes to discontinuous this thing, then you call it as boost converter operating in discontinuous mode. So you always take care that the boundary limit of your inductor and your current levels, how to find out your inductor level. So based on this inductor condition, and there are some conditions like L greater than V in divided by 2 in by F. So this particular boost converter equation will always guarantee the continuous operation. Please make sure that it operates, the L value is always in the boundary limit, and your designed value should not go beyond this particular value, so that it is always in your boundary limit. And finally, you have to use maximum values, minimum values, so that this you will get it. So this is the impedance matching. This is the very important slide of the chapter or the explanation. Let me take this as source as my V in. Let me take this particular source as my V in. This is going to be PV. This is going to be my typical DC-DC boost converter. Let us forget this boost converter and let us see only this load. So this load is going to be the equivalent resistance, and when your source, when your input resistance, that is this particular resistance R, input resistance is equal to equivalent resistance, you call it as impedance matching. So this is what the concept is, impedance matching. So now when you take R equivalent is equal to V in by I in, this is the simple this one. So R is V in by in. Output voltage, this is the voltage that we have got. V out is equal to V in by. This is the equation that we have derived by a boost converter. You can easily have this equation, and you also know that I out is nothing but V out, just a multiplication factor. So I out is nothing. We can substitute the V out is equal to I out by R. I in is equal to V in by R, and you have just substituted it. This vice versa we have made it, and you have got the equation I out. So just substitute this equation and you will get it. V R equivalent is equal to V in by I in. You will get to this particular equation, 1 minus D square into R load. This is the final equations that you will get with respect to R equivalent. Now just substituting this equation, let's just take a PV. Just take a PV. This point, the input resistance of the PV is going to operate at 200. The 130 watt is the maximum power of this PV, and according to the voltage and current rating, it is getting the 6.44 ohm. This point, when you take, what is the voltage? Voltage is going to be somewhere around 30. Current is going to be somewhere around 4 point this something. So when you just take this value, you will get somewhere around 6.44 ohm as resistance, opposite resistance. And to make it at this point, maybe this 14 volts, at this point your resistance is going to be 100 ohm. Similarly, to extract 130 volt, connect a boost converter between a parallel and a resistor. I mean, how to design this boost converter for this particular maximum operating point? That is a deal. Let us see that how to do it. So you know that R equivalent, this equation 1 minus D square into R load. This we have derived in the this particular R equivalent. So we have got this at what R equivalent 6.44 ohm. It is going to operate in your 130 watts. So R load we have to design. We have to find out duty cycle based on this. D is equal to 1 minus, just rearrange this equation, 1 minus R equivalent divided by R load. So the maximum load that is to be connected at the output side, you will have 100. Let me take my load as 100 ohm. So now my equivalent resistance is going to be 6.44 at this point. So the duty cycle, when you are operating at 0.75, you will get 130 watts power. When you are trying to decrease your duty cycle, then you may have different resistor values, when you are trying to change this duty cycle value, then you may have to face your maximum power is going to get changed. This is the fundamental understanding with the MPP tracking. I repeat, your R equivalent you have derived as 1 minus D square into 1 minus D square into R load. R load is fixed, load value is fixed. I am fixing my load value as 100 ohm. When you are trying to change this value operating point, then we found this equivalent value as 130 watts. 130 watts correspondingly your voltage and current value is going to be somewhere around 4.5 and 30. For that we have got a resistance of 6.44. So for the 6.4 resistor, the maximum resistance value is 100 ohm and the MPP resistance value is 6.44. So now the maximum resistance R load maximum value is going to be 100 ohm and your value, this value is going to be 6.44. This is how you have to calculate. And now what you have done is, we have got R load as 100 and you have done equivalent value as 6.44. Now you have got the duty cycle. When you are operating duty cycle of 0.75, you will get 130 watts. If you are operating at lesser resistance value, then it means this one is getting changed. Your duty cycle will get changed. You may not be able to operate at MPP. This is the conclusion from this particular slide. So the boost converter reflects a high load resistance to a load resistance on the source side. This is the understanding that we have got from this particular slide. Yes, this is the typical boost converter design values that you have. We have just taken the inductor current value, means how to design this RMS current, voltage, capacitor voltage and output current of the capacitor, and diode and MOSFET voltage. So these are all the things that we have got. Let me take a simple conclusion. Likely worst case of boost condition, we have just assumed my current, input current, voltage and output current, how much I will get it, output diode voltage, how much I will get it, and the current, how much I will get it, because the output current is going to be 10 ampere, input is going to be 5 ampere, which means the output current is going to be 10 ampere. This is how the conclusion. So similarly, what is the components that you have to choose? You have to choose 9 ampere inductor, 250 volt, of course 1.5 times 5.66 ampere, that is how you will get it, and 200 volt MOSFET switch and 250 volt, it can depend because 2 into output are times. Similarly, your diode and MOSFET current should be 2 by 0, 20 amps you can choose. This is the fundamental rating that you have to go with the boost converter design for your MPPT tracking or your this one. So this is the comparisons. Yes, you know this particular factors, how to design your capacitor and how to design your frequency. It is always different to your switching frequency. I have now considered my switching frequency as 50 kilohertz and my output current you have got it as 5 ampere. I have myself assumed. So the capacitor value what I will get is 1500 microampere based on your voltage ripple. So this is how it is going to be. The value is going to be 0.067. So the ripple value is going to be 0.067. That is the ripple value. So this is how you have to design your DC-DC boost converter for a typical PV maximum power point tracking. I hope the students would have understood how to design a DC-DC boost converter. The fundamental takeaways from this today's lecture are number 1, your volt second balance principle of a DC-DC boost converter. It is going to be inductor voltage during on period, switch on period is equal to inductor voltage during off period. So you will get output voltage equation V out. That is the first takeaway from today's class. The second takeaway is your capacitor voltage is always 1.5 times your V out. That is the second takeaway. The third takeaway is your IRMS is equal to 2 by root 3 times of your IN. This is the thing that we have derived. and the maximum resistance equivalent resistance equation, R equivalent of a load is going to be equal to 1 minus D square into R load, and the maximum load value is going to be according to the PV characteristics at the worst case. We have taken two particular cases in this particular this one. One particular case is at the worst case it is going to be 100 ohm that we have tested, and the MPP point is going to be 6.44 ohm correspondingly. So that we have taken and we have recorded. These are all the takeaways, and this is how the way to design your DC to DC boost converter. Please stay tuned for the next lecture. It is going to be buck converter. Let us see how the buck converter is also getting designed for your PV maximum power point tracking. This is how you change the duty cycle and you alter the output voltage or the input voltage, or you scan the entire PV characteristics. Fix the output resistance and fix your maximum power point resistance in a PV panel, and you just play with the duty cycle so that you can cover the entire region in the IV characteristics. Irrespective of your load, you can able to attain maximum power point. Thank you very much, students. We will see in the next lecture about DC-DC buck converter for MPP tracking. See you all.